one that I ran into after my TED Talk and after all the shit that happened and after coming to South by Southwest and basically being told by the whole music industry, okay, you're right. Crowdfunding, not bad, okay. What do you, I mean, let me just give you a little background. Matt was one of the many dozens, maybe hundreds, I guess, of musicians who put their hands up when I put out a blog saying, will you come to a gig and play for free, but we'll get you in and we'll give you guest lists and we'll get you beer and, it'll be that thing that we do. And everyone was like, yeah, that thing that we do. And then when I got criticized by, musicians unions and some people online and some classical musicians especially were really angry I was doing this, Matt was like the most vocal and articulate musician who went back out to the world, because I could say what I could say on my blog, but he actually went out into the world and wrote his own blog saying, listen, this is what we're about. This is, let me give you the musician's perspective. So, can you just talk about it?
Yeah. Well, first of all, the way that I got involved in it, I've always been a Dresden fan, and I hadn't really heard much since then, and a friend of mine who's actually here tonight, Sarah, was like, hey, she's looking for crowdsourced musicians. And I play tuba. So I was, first of all, I was like, there's no way she's looking for tuba. But I applied and checked it out, and I don't know, I'm a musician, and you guys like going to shows, right? Everybody like going to shows. And the one thing we're all looking for at shows is free alcohol and a guest list, right? Yes. So we had that going for us, sold, I didn't ever see any problem with it, with them not publicly offering money, And I didn't really hear anything about the kerfuffle until I was on the road with her, and we were talking about the musicians' unions and the classical musicians. Classical musicians, first of all, don't have any work because the symphonies don't interact with the audiences. There's no reaching out. When you go see a symphony, you see the symphony and they're gone, and it's 400-year-old music. There's a reason nobody's into it anymore. Hey, don't get me wrong. Listen, I was in a military band. I played it all over and over and over, and now I'm rocking out to people who appreciate it a lot more. So I didn't really ever see a problem with volunteering. I looked at it more as just a huge opportunity to come out and rock face for people, beautiful people like you guys. And it was more of an opportunity, and it was extremely educational in that I started doing this about a year ago, and I didn't know anything about how the inner workings of shows worked, especially at this level, So getting there and getting to be there all day long, getting to watch everything come together, the venue's completely empty at the beginning, and then by the end, there's a show with thousands of people in it. And it was huge to me. It was insanely beneficial. It's just educational, I don't know.
Well, and the thing that I actually think is the most beautiful is it's hard to explain to people the weird value of saying yes to shit. And as a musician who didn't get big fast, like me, especially in the Dresden Dolls, we just said yes to so many things where there was no money involved. You never knew what you were gonna get. Sometimes it wasn't even fun, but we said yes a lot to a lot of weird shit. And here we are, how many months later? 6 months later? And this is what happens. What happens 6 months later is you run into each other in the street and he makes friends with a drummer and it's cyclical. Shit keeps happening when you say yes and you make things happen. And I just think the incredible synchronicity and the little connections of what happens and then what happens after that and what happens after that and how things keep happening when you're generous with your time and your energy and your art they're immeasurable. It's just this chain reaction that makes more and more things happen. And some of them do lead to money. And some of them don't, and but that's basically, I think that's our story in a nutshell. Like, you say yes and good things happen, basically. So thank you, Matt. So let us bring on Von Gray. These